We backed a management team or a founder, and who had a thesis and utilized AI and tech, or took a differentiated approach. And one such company we took public last year in Accelerant Holdings. So we have a good track record in this space.
Welcome to Insurance Shoptalk. This is the podcast where the world of commercial insurance gets a little closer to home. I'm your host, Eric Stein, and in every episode, we're taking a deep dive into the insurance industry. From the latest news and trends to in-depth interviews with Insurtech experts, carriers, and agency newsmakers, we're covering it all. So sit back, tune in, and let's start the conversation. All right, today I've got Joe Zuk on. Joe, how are you?
I'm well, Eric. Thank you for the time today. I appreciate being on the pod this afternoon.
Absolutely. Joe is with Altamont Capital Partners, private equity firm specializing in the insurance side of our business. Joe has got an illustrious career. I knew Joe when he was at Atlas General out of California, so I've known him quite a while, and excited to have him on to talk through some things he's up to on the private equity side, as well as kind of what's been going on the insurance side of the house, as well as some of the firms that he has in his portfolio. So we got a lot to cover, man. So Joe, I appreciate again you coming on. So why don't you kind of start with like a little bit about your background and kind of what you're up to today on your focus.
No, well, again, thank you, Eric, for the opportunity. So a little bit about my background. I'm Joe Zuk. I'm an operating partner with Altamont Capital Partners. I was super fortunate to start my career in the reinsurance brokerage and underwriting side of the business, as you mentioned. That was the first decade of my career, and it provided this great foundational, fundamental baseline for my career and understanding of the insurance business. And for maybe your listeners that may not know what reinsurance is, it's simply insurance for insurance, right? Or insurance squared, I like to call it. And so I was fortunate to spend time as both a broker and underwriter there. And then following that was seeing where the MGA program business trend was going. And as you alluded to, Atlas General out in San Diego, I had known our CEO and a great opportunity to come run corporate development strategy for them as an equity partner. And then develop our commercial casualty and a commercial property divisions there for 6 years. I like to say, Eric, that gave me an MBA in primary insurance, really understanding distribution and how to work with retail brokers and wholesale brokers and provide them an insurance product and program. And then following my time there, I joined a firm out in the East Coast called Orchid Underwriters to run corporate development strategy for them, focused on the high value to homeowners and commercial property space. And then I made the switch to the investing side of the business with Altamont over the last 6 years. We're a $4.5 billion private equity firm based out of Palo Alto, California. We've been around for 16 years, and we have what we like to call is an insurance ecosystem of 9 portfolio companies in insurance. So that's the nickel tour of my career, Eric.
No, that's great. So in terms of like, I know everyone's the AI piece is always big hype, but and you've been on the underwriting side of the equation quite a bit. Like in what you're seeing, because you've got companies that are incubating, startups and so on. So I'm sure some AI pieces are coming together
That's right.
there. Like, well, give us an update on what you're seeing right now.
Yeah,
What's the big push?
it's certainly an exciting time with AI and technology. I mean, even more so than in the last, well, I kind of almost say with it, I was going to say almost in the last year, but it's almost rapidly improving quarter by quarter here. So, our portfolio is a mix of both balance sheet insurance carriers as well as insurance services distribution companies on the MGA side, as well as in claims and reinsurance brokerage. Where are we seeing the use case and application of AI most? Has been a number of areas. I would say one, augmenting, the human, whether that's on the underwriting side in terms of triaging files, bringing in exposure and experience information. On the claim side, we're seeing it augment adjusters in terms of first notice of loss, customer service. And then in terms of where we're seeing it on the MGA, MGU side, really up and down, right? Everywhere from ingestions of loss runs and third-party data calls to self-servicing for non-money endorsements by the broker or agent. It's been quite exciting to see. And each one of our portfolio companies now has an AI task force where they have both in-house resources as well as external partners that continue to experiment and develop a lot of great new tools every day. So overall, it's quite a fun time to be in insurance. And I think maybe for a lot of your listeners in the audience, some folks would be kind of maybe a little bit fearful of, is AI taking my job? And I would say, it's actually the contrary. If people are afraid of AI, then yes, it can take your job. But if you embrace it, I think it kind of 10x's your capability and your learning in the business quite rapidly.
Yeah, because I see like just talking even to people on the agency side, everybody's kind of testing out the simple pieces like the chat GPT and that sort of thing. Uh, but then um, but then you've got the power users like especially now that like Claude Cowork just launched,
Hmm.
where you can literally just speak to writing code instead of having to have programming. I mean, even I can do it. And I hate all that tech stuff to go that deep. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. So I think I've noticed just like I did a presentation where I used Claude and I was able to ingest the loss data on a prospective client for an agent, and then it took the top three claim issues, and then it gave details about what happened on it, very big picture, and then three or four areas where the client could improve the risk management. And I did it in 2 seconds and it produced this beautiful PowerPoint slide, piece. And that was just in their little chat function. I wasn't even using Cowork.
It's
So,
amazing.
so I'm going to just start doing that now for every, major submission and giving that to the agent as like a value add so they can brand it to show the client this is what we're going to work on for you next year, with your insurance proposal.
That's great, right? And probably what took you 3 hours before sounded like it took you just like 30 minutes or even less.
Right. I mean,
And,
I thought I was ahead of the curve. I was already using like offshore. I know like you probably have on the
yeah,
OTA side. And so I would just wait 4 hours or the next day to get my, my information back. And then they didn't know how to do PowerPoint at overseas, to make it look as
yeah.
good.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, it's just a huge game changer now for speed. So like you're saying, if you just do a few new tools, like I'm just trying to do a little bit every day or so, of something new um,
I
to
think
get up
that's
to
the right
speed.
approach, right? 15 to 30 minutes a day. I mean, you become very adept at using the tools and AI and yeah, it's a lot of fun as well.
I know, and I just saw like it was yesterday actually a webinar on Momentum, one of the smaller AMSs. I don't even know if you've ever heard of it, now search Momentum.
Hmm.
They're coming out with an AI AMS system, and the demo looked great. It was like you were operating within Chat or Claude, and you said, "Hey, I need a COI for so and so," and it would take in even voice, from a customer and start adding vehicles. I mean, just incredible.
That's awesome to hear. And yeah, no, I mean, I think being really cognizant of what's going on is just going to be ever so important for the months and years to come with AI.
Absolutely. I mean, that was funny. I was telling my friend after I saw it, is in the industry that the chat was going off so fast, like I couldn't even pay attention to the presentation of the webinar. All the agents were so excited to finally see something coming out like this. And like one guy's like, he's like, take my money, please, because it wasn't like totally ready yet, they're still beta and testing
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So anyway, it was just funny. I digress, but just a kind of fun to see the excitement and things finally kind of come together now where we can integrate a ton of vendors into one platform too, versus having all these
exactly.
separate systems.
Totally, 100%. Excellent.
And then so then also kind of get us up to speed on the M&A side of the world these days. we have a lot of retail agents, probably some wholesale agencies on the line here, but you're seeing that every day in your world, and like how might you be involved in it at some point, if not now?
Yeah, no, really appreciate it. We're obviously, come from the private equity side, and despite, doing a lot of de novo and investments and build, we're a bit different in that our fund lives, Eric, are 17 years in duration. I think we're as deep as active as anybody in the insurance sphere. And thirdly, we're very management centric. From where we're seeing the M&A market today, I think there's still robust interest by private equity and other capital into the insurance retail and wholesale and MGA channel quite a bit. Candidly, I think valuations, the tippy top has cooled down a little bit, certainly with elevated interest rates and where things are today. That being said, insurance remains a highly hot sector for private equity and others, both in retail, MGA, wholesale, partly because of the durability, regardless of economic cycle, the ubiquitous need, and the growth prospects. And I think, insurance only has continued growth as the world gets a little more, volatile, for example, right? Both on the liability side of the equation as well as on the property side, with the increasingly erratic weather I think we have. And so, that remains quite attractive. And then, from our standpoint, we're always interested in having conversations with principals at retail brokers and agents or wholesalers and MGAs, and seeing if there's a platform or a roll-up strategy, or if somebody has a unique idea, and looking at the space and we can back. Many of our successful portfolio companies, we backed a management team or a founder, and who had a thesis and utilized AI and tech, or took a differentiated approach. And one such company we took public last year in Accelerant Holdings. So we have a good track record in this space.
Hey everybody, it's Eric. I just want to pop in for a quick announcement. Exciting news. I just launched my new book on Amazon. It's called The Blueprint: An Insurance Agency's Unconventional Rise to the Top. And it goes through a little bit about how I built the agency Insured Solutions since 2009 to today. And the blueprint in terms of how I actually did it with the tech stack, the offshore, nearshore talent, and digital marketing techniques that I use. So pick up a copy today on Amazon. Thanks, guys. That's good. So 17-year is your history
Fund
or
life. Our
okay.
fund life.
Fund
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Okay.
Fund life. Yeah. So, most PE, Eric, tends to be kind of a 10-year or 7-year fund life. So they're shorter hold. So they kind of force sometimes what I think is irrationality or quicker decisions where we can be more patient. So we actually end up holding a lot of our portfolio companies somewhere between 8 and 10 years or longer. And some of them we've put into what's called continuation vehicles, that allows us to continue to hold the investment over time. And, we do dividend recaps and so forth. Our firm itself is 16 years old, but the predecessor firm, which our founders came from, is Golden Gate Capital, and they started in 2001. So the track record of the team is, over 25 years of investing in insurance as well as other verticals as well. But
No, that's awesome. So, and I think when we talked earlier, you were saying that you did have some like incubator,
we do.
so tell me how
Yeah.
that works. Like, what are you
Yeah.
focused on in that space right
So what
now?
are
Now
we?
that you're
Yeah.
coming
So
in.
we have two portfolio companies in the incubation space, one called Ascendix, which is an AI kind of driven, mid-market commercial insurance specialty practice that's led by Kevin Renberg and Andre Bourgeon and Dan Grazel. We backed that management team who had a thesis that there's a real need for commercial insurance specialty products out there. So they're writing cyber, real estate, HAB, GL property package, excess liability, and management liability lines today. And then we have another incubation platform called Mission Underwriters, where we actually have a franchise model, Eric, almost, I like to say, where it's a series LLC. So we have 30 kind of bespoke mini MGAs or MGUs there, writing a variety of things. So everything from your habitational to your contractors, to lobster boats and fishermen's and marinas. So if you can think it and you have a compelling business case, we can back it. And that's taking talented underwriters, aligned with Accelerant, providing them starter capacity and paper and allowing them to launch. And I think there's something we'd love to do there in the retail space, as well over time.
No, that's fantastic. I know a lot of folks on the line are looking for, assistance with commercial auto. No matter what state, it seems to be a hard, super hard
It's a
market. But
tough market. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, commercial auto, we do have a few folks running that business, tends to be a little bit more regional and specialized, but yeah, either through Accelerant or Hadron, we do provide capacity there, and we have a number of MGAs, MGUs that do write some commercial auto and package there. So we're always happy to entertain those conversations, but as you point out, it remains a very challenged line.
no, I gotcha. Yeah, and going back to AI for a minute, because I know again you were pretty solid on the underwriting side when I knew you at the Atlas days. Like, what are you seeing that's going on there specifically, to help with like almost like being a junior underwriter, if you will, to, help the frontline, human underwriter make better decisions and just speed it up other than the ingestion and parsing. I mean, anything else specific you're seeing? Is there it's catching or speeding up or any of that?
Yeah, from the underwriting side, I think a few things. Some is just, yeah, obviously the ingesting, the parsing, and the file setup. But then I think the third party data, the auto decline for things that are out of appetite, and we are seeing now AI being used to really guide the underwriter, in terms of a question set, prioritize the submission, management and workflow. And then, for some things, we do have products here today, that are completely straight through process that are AI driven. I put that in kind of air quotes here, where it does have a bit of an AI agent or bot. And, my dream here, and I think this will be able to do in the next year or so, is create a agentic MGA, MGU that will be able to interact with a retail broker, a wholesale broker, and be able to itself underwrite some more simplistic products and programs.
No, that sounds awesome. Um, yeah, if you would have said that, 6 months ago or whatever, I would have said that's going to be years away. But then as I've seen it speed up, like crazy, I think it's like not that far out.
I think that's as well. I mean, I would have been in your same camp as well. I thought this was going to be a little further out, and given just, this year, what the advances have been, I'm like, wow, okay. I do think it's not that far away.
Yeah. Yeah, and because I'm in the wholesale side at Insurance Solutions, I see how hard it is to get the relationship set. I mean, we're not even an MGU like were at Atlas,
Hmm.
at the time. Like, and it's just a huge challenge even to get, agreements and relationships set in place, with these carriers for wholesale to help the retailer guys, with their momentum and for alternative risk, whatever. But talk through a little bit like how you I always wonder, I never asked you this when I saw you at like the conferences, like your pitch back in the day to talk a little bit about how, your underwriting structure, your distribution structure, and how you convinced a program to hire you to represent them. And usually I remember
Yeah.
you used to have was very exclusive too. Like
No, yeah,
it was an Atlas
it's a
product.
really good question. Yeah, really good question. And so, when I was on the MJMGU side, on the underwriting side, and even today, we have portfolio companies where we have to pitch, if we can't solve it with our portfolio companies that have capacity with what we call 3P, third party capacity. It's still the fundamentals are the same, right, Eric? So, first and foremost is really talking about, hey, do we have distribution? What does our distribution look like? Is it retail driven? Is it wholesale driven? Why does distribution come to us as an MGA, MGU? And what value are we providing? And I always say, where do MGAs and MGUs grow in the wild? They grow in like distressed, disenfranchised, discriminated areas of the market, right? So, easy stuff, right? that's placed every day in the admitted market. It's really not great for an MGA, MGU. But what are some of the notorious lines? You mentioned one, commercial auto. Oftentimes in MGA, MGU, construction, from past lives, or, the PEO space or harder comp lines, tends to be a little bit more MGA, MGU driven business. So that's one, because why do insurance carriers or reinsurers and fronting companies give capacity or risk capital to MGAs, MGUs? Because that particular team has a particular expertise or knowledge. Plus, they have access to distribution that an insurance carrier couldn't otherwise get. So that's kind of first principles, and then beyond that, how does that MGA, MGU administer the business? They operate like effectively an outsourced branch office of that insurance carrier, or the ultimate risk capital being the reinsurance and so forth. Can they administer a policy? Do they win on service? Do they retain underwriting discipline, right? Are they aligned? And do they understand how to navigate the market, right? We're in a soft market now. 2 years ago, we were in a hard market. What have they done to adapt? Are they just not offering just on price? Are they, finding the class codes that are maybe a little bit more distressed, where there's still adequate rate adequacy, and letting some of the business that is no longer rate adequate go? Are they, still focused on risk selection? Are they providing product and program that's responsive, right, to the broker force? That's where, the better at MGAs and MGUs survive the soft market. And diversification, right? If you're solely just in one, line of business, and, that can be either whimed by the market forces or by regulatory or so forth, having a little diversification so you can survive the insurance market cycle is key. All of that goes into our pitch with risk capital, right? And being able to clearly articulate that and why is what resonates with insurers and reinsurers. Obviously, data is super important. I would say, if you've seen my writing on LinkedIn or elsewhere, or prior podcasts, or things where I've been interviewed, I'm a big data guy, because so much matters in terms of having organization around exposure information, but just as importantly is the experience information on the loss side. So I'll pause there, but hopefully that's helpful to you and the audience in terms of, how an MGA looks at it.
No, that's really cool. And then, because I mean, yeah, like let's say 12 years ago or whatever, I experienced a lot of volatility in the programs I was putting together on a much smaller level than what you were doing at Atlas. But it was like, it seemed like every year, like a carrier was like going out of business, or the rating was, their rating got demolished. And so you have to, move a book. I kind of remember a little bit with Atlas too, because you guys were,
Hmm.
alternative
We
markets at
did.
that point.
Yeah. We had
Yeah,
to
because I
move
had to like
our
go through
book.
these motions, to
Yeah.
move.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people exit the space. There's an M&A on the carrier side, a sale, and so forth. So you have to be durable, and that then goes back to my point of having the data. To use that example at Atlas that you brought up, our carrier partner at the time was acquired by another carrier who didn't want to be in the space anymore. And so, if it wasn't for the relationships that I had in the market with insurers and reinsurers, but more importantly, the exposure and experience information we had, and such that we could have pitched and articulated, uh, our story and our profitability of our underwriting, we would have not been able to kind of move that program as fast as we did, and provide actually a better program going forward.
Yes, yes. I remember you guys were cutting edge even back in the day with one of the few at that time, MGU, MGAs that would have online, you know, quoting, and I think some of it you could bind online and with
Yeah, yeah, we could buy it
commercial. I
online, rate
mean,
quote by name, which was, yeah, fairly innovative. I mean, we were even doing some early stuff, pre AI technology, where we were working with tech and data in terms of identifying loss files that had more propensity to have litigation associated with it, through keyword searching and so forth. So, yeah, it was pretty cool back then, and that probably sparked my big passion and interest, for AI and technology and the use cases today.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys were, ahead of the curve, so you're like prime now for what's about to happen with, your companies and the others, for the all these new AI tools
That's
that
right.
will start coming out as well. And then, the other thing I think you kind of mentioned earlier, like the human capital piece of what's happening, other than everybody's thinking more about reducing headcount to try to have the AI piece in place. But we all know there's certain aspects of what we do that you like trying to quote property or big commercial property programs, work comp, maybe you could get away with it, but others in auto maybe, but with all the other intricacies of package policies, I mean, I just don't see where you can get rid of the well-trained producer and account managers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, here's what, you know, I think you're spot on, right? And I would say this in terms of, insurance and reinsurance and the human capital piece. Look, those who run away from AI will find themselves on the outside of being employed in, I think, in our industry over time. That being said, those who embrace it will find that they will make a very durable career for themselves in our industry. That's one. Two, and you're right, there are always going to be needs for retail brokers, wholesalers, MGAs in our space. Will we maybe replace the same amount of hiring needs and people needs that we historically have in insurance? Maybe not, right? But we've seen that with technology over the years as well. I mean, you walk into an office today, how often do you see a receptionist anymore? Pretty rarely, right? Because even phones on your desk are now all mobile phones, right? I have not seen a phone on a desk in quite some time. That being said, service still matters. People want to speak to humans. They want that tribal knowledge that comes with insurance, right? I would say in addition to that, Eric, folks want to be able to get that trusted concierge approach, right? If they have a question about their business, right? And then also there's the navigation, right? There's the lateral thinking that comes with it and the creativity that still isn't there in AI. And so, I think there's a lot of opportunity for humans and human capital, despite the age of AI and insurance. So, and I would say, for folks, out there listening too, I think, the real opportunity, I think, with AI and is compression, right, of that feedback loop in both loss data and pricing. And it's important though that people don't succumb to industry inertia and really, ensure that they're investing in their human capital, being able to develop that next generation, and being able to work closely, with both today's technology, but not forgetting that, we still are going to be a very relationship driven business, and a human capital driven business.
No, absolutely. Um, and then yeah, the idea, I would love to have just I know I bet every agency would love it, just to have like one person that is in charge of putting together the processes for the AI pieces and operationally to streamline things.
Hmm.
I mean, I can sit here and play with it and learn it, but it just takes me so much time. And I'd love to have, so I think, coming out of a risk management program for college, and that might be a new place to hire
A
some
hundred percent. Yeah.
maybe half there'll be the younger generation, and then half their time could be operational assistance in the tech and AI side, and the other could be learning how to be either an account manager or a producer.
Exactly, right. And I think, bringing that, next generation up through, the risk management schools, or, we found great talent in adjacent, industries as well and brought them into insurance. I think the one neat thing about insurance is it touches every facet of the economy, right? And you can learn so much about different businesses, and insurance is a puzzle, right? I learn something every day about it, and it's infinitely fascinating.
PNC agents, have you run into Byberg, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company quoting workers' comp for either your prospects or clients? Well, great news. Insured Solutions, a national MGA, has an appointment that is set up to allow you to quote, bind, and service by Burke at your agency. And the coverage is in all states. It's A-rated. Startups are even accepted. There's 125,000 maximum premium. And some of the tough industries they write are construction, transportation, that includes towing and parcel delivery, manufacturing, security guards that are armed and unarmed, mold remediation, and many more. So go to our website at insuredsolutions.net, click the Get Appointed link. We'll get you logins for you and your team, and can set up a webinar for training if you'd like. Also, feel free to email info@insuredsolutions.net, and I can handle the submission myself, or call 770-402-5343. Be glad to speak to you and give you more detail. Thanks. No, absolutely. Yeah. Especially the marketing side is getting more challenging, it seems, for, bringing in new business, in terms of that. But then I've, seen some listen to podcasts lately where they're using these new tools. You're able to identify, on a more granular level, more decision makers within organizations, like who the right person to talk to and that handles the insurance decisions, for the client versus just the CEO or HR or CFO, right? You get right to the
Hmm.
person. So you get more enriched kind of data now, of who you're going to do marketing to. So I'm really interested in how to use that to help my agent community, get new business.
Yep. No, I think that makes a ton of sense. Is AI can be a great augmenter to marketing and sales and follow-ups. That being said, humans are very, very adept, right, of identifying AI, both imagery as well as written form, right? And I think it's always important to tailor your own authentic voice alongside about what AI can do, right? It's great for building the outline and framework, but you want to put your own personal touch and spin and bring that human authenticity to your marketing as well. I think that is the winning combination.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've had I'll cut and paste one of my emails I wrote, put it in to clean it up. It made it sound great, but then it kind of lost my voice. You could
Correct.
tell it wasn't from me. Even someone that's has interacted with me before, especially, just, hey, this is AI. Just whatever you do,
Exactly.
don't do the emojis in your
Don't
email.
do the emojis or the M dashes, please, or the certain pattern recognition. So,
Yeah, and
um,
also, hey, you mentioned you have a podcast too. Let's do a little shameless promotion there. What's the name of your podcast?
well, actually, it's not a podcast, but I do write weekly on LinkedIn and Substack and Medium. So
That's
if
right. That's right.
users are interested, they can go to my name, joezuk.com. And there you can see, my various press, including Zook on insurance and technology. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I keep an open Calendly. I always love to chat about the business. And no, it's hopefully take away. I'm super passionate about both the investing side in insurance as well as the insurance operator side and M&A. And we do some early stage investing as well. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think people listening by the insurance side are, creating some new tools, for AI and things and new programs that might fit into your incubator, possibly, that you're doing, and just
Yeah.
maybe they want to chat about exiting, and as you develop more roll-up strategy for retail or wholesale in the future, at least they could get to know you.
That'd be great. Yeah, we're always, we're no pressure. Always happy, if I can give, just helpful thought partnership or advice or consulting or just bouncing ideas off. We always like that. We always help to be navigators. I mean, here at Altamont, we're if it's not something for us, we may know somebody that we can make a warm, friendly referral. So that's always something that's good. But for me, I think what I like to do is always just try to be helpful and constructive.
No, and I've noticed that just knowing you over the years, right? We don't stay in touch as much as I would like, but you were always very generous with your, referrals. Like I'd see at conferences, tell you what my issues were, and you would kind of get me hooked into the right door, So I always appreciated that. Anything you need, man, I'll always do it for you as well. It's always welcome.
A pleasure. Well, thank you, Eric. I really appreciate the time today on the pod, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you this afternoon.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in to Insurance Shop Talk. If you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest trends, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm Eric Stein, and this has been Insurance Shop Talk.